7:30 p.m.
Good evening, I'm Gerard Lam on News 5 tonight. Finger-pointing in Malaysia over who's to blame for the violent turn of events at yesterday's Bersih 3.0 rally. Police in China detain an outspoken government critic and friend of escaped activist Chen Guangqing.
The vast majority don't feel the effects of these sharp increases.
The DPM's assurance on inflation, though he says it remains a key challenge.
Take Mitt Romney. He and I actually have a lot in common.
And the US President Obama proves a comedic hit at a gala dinner in Washington. First tonight, the Malaysian government and the organizers of an electoral reform rally are blaming each other for the chaotic end to yesterday's demonstrations in Kuala Lumpur. Police fired tear gas to stop the Bersih 3.0 protesters from breaching barricades to enter Merdeka Square. Rally organizers deny losing control of the crowd and are demanding a thorough investigation.
It's business as usual one day after Bersih 3.0 rally. The roads leading to the historic Merdeka Square are now reopened and surrounding streets have been cleaned up. The police blamed protesters for starting it all by trying to occupy the historic Merdeka Square that's off limits. But Bersih co-chair insists that no such order was given to protesters and demanded a full investigation into the incident.
Until that point when tear gas was fired, I think someone reported that we said we lost control. We never lost control. We never lost control.
Police said 471 were arrested yesterday and all have since been released. Bersih accused the police of using excessive force in dispersing the crowd. Over 170, they said, were injured in the rally yesterday, including women. Children hit by tear gas were seen in surrounding areas. Meanwhile, international observers who's on a fact-finding mission in Kuala Lumpur criticized the police for mishandling the protest.
The crowd had ample time to be violent if it wanted to. There was no sense of violence. Yesterday, it was a festive, celebratory experience.
It just seemed to be quite unnecessary. I was there. I think most of us here all got tear gas and unpleasant experience.
The group was here on invitation of opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim to study Malaysia's electoral system.
Now, as the dust begins to settle, both sides are blaming each other for provocation. The election watchdog, Bersih, is claiming Bersih 3.0 rally a success, as tens of thousands of Malaysians, they said, from all walks of life have turned up in full force to support the rally, calling for a free and fair election. It's now, they say, up to Prime Minister Najib to respond. Melissa Go, Channel News Asia, Kuala Lumpur.
Well, Malaysia's Deputy Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin says Bersih organisers should be held responsible for damage to property and injuries to several members of the police force. Mr. Muhyiddin adds that the opposition took advantage of the situation to gain political mileage ahead of upcoming general elections. He also dismissed claims that the country's electoral system is not transparent, saying opposition MPs sit on the Electoral Reform Committee. Police in China have detained outspoken government critic Hu Jia, who's also a friend of escaped dissident Chen Guangqing. Mr. Hu's wife tweeted that her husband, seen here with Mr. Chen, was taken into custody in Beijing yesterday. He's known for his work supporting human rights, AIDS sufferers and environmental causes. He was jailed for 3 months last year over what the government called attempted subversion of power. Meanwhile, a senior US official is in Beijing on an unscheduled visit amid reports that Chen Guangqing has taken refuge with American diplomats. US Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs, Kurt Campbell, would not answer questions about the purpose of his trip. The Chen case could complicate ties as the US seeks to work with China on issues like the Syrian crisis and the nuclear ambitions of North Korea and Iran. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon has arrived in Myanmar for talks with the government and opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi. It's his first visit since a reformist government took office a year ago. And it has surprised the world by engaging the political opposition and ethnic rebel groups. Mr. Ban calls the moves encouraging but a fragile start and hopes to see more. He'll meet President Thein Sein and address Parliament tomorrow. Back home, the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister says the government is closely monitoring inflation. Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam told the NTUC May Day dinner tonight that inflation remains an important challenge and one that union leaders are most concerned about. But he believes most Singaporeans will not be affected.
Singapore's Consumer Price Index rose by about 5.2% in March 2012 compared to a year ago, and Mr. Tharman says this is a high figure. But he also explained that this does not mean that the average Singaporean will feel this high inflation. That is because more than half of the headline inflation rate of 5.2% came from higher COEs for cars and the effect of higher market rent on houses.
The vast majority own their own homes and are not buying a new car this year, so they don't feel the effects of these sharp increases. The increase in prices of daily necessities and essential services like food, clothing and footwear and education has actually been much more moderate, at 3% or lower. The inflation in actual household expenditures for most Singaporeans is hence lower than 5%. Nevertheless, we are closely monitoring the situation, including the prices of everyday goods and services.
Mr. Tharman noted that the National Wages Council has been discussing the wage guidelines, and he hopes the guidelines will allow workers to get their fair share from the growth over the past year and wage increases that can be sustained while still ensuring that businesses in Singapore remain competitive and continue to generate good jobs. Deputy Prime Minister Tharman also explained that the government is working to ensure that low-paid workers are the chief beneficiaries of the government's economic restructuring efforts. Now, in this regard, the Inclusive Growth Program, which is run by the NTUC since August 2010, has been helping to a large extent. Mr. Tharman says so far, some 33,000 low-wage workers have benefited from the Inclusive Growth Program, and the government will play its role to ensure that the NTUC's target of 100,000 workers by 2015 is achievable. So the National Productivity and Continuing Education Council will increase the funding of the Inclusive Growth Program with another $70 million for the next 3 years, bringing it to a total of $100 million. The May Day dinner also honoured several veteran union leaders and tripartite partners who've made significant contributions to the country.
Singapore's ongoing community games have drawn more than 10,000 participants so far. The games serve as qualifying rounds for the inaugural National Games, which will take place in September. Organisers say it's not just about developing a wider interest in sports.
It's a very good bonding for us to be able to bond together with the residents here from HDB private estates, and they really mingle and meld very well.
The games have reached Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong's Ang Mo Kio GRC, and he gamely got involved today, trying his hand at table tennis and putting his best foot forward in sepak takraw. He later took a walk around the estate to mingle with residents. A new study shows that members of the National Brisk Walking Program are 8% fitter than the general population. They get about 4 hours of physical activity a week.
It was a healthy start for these 10,000 members of the National Brisk Walking Program as they embarked on a 3-kilometre brisk walk. And joining in the fun was Health Minister Gan Kim Yong, who shared his own exercise regime.
I usually walk with my residents, my grassroots leaders during the weekend. Sometimes once or twice a day, because there are different groups, and I walk with them. During the weekday, I also do jogging at home around my house, as well as on the treadmill.
The National Brisk Walking Program was introduced in 2009. It was a simple idea to get Singaporeans on a sedentary lifestyle moving. Since then, the number of participants has ballooned by 25% to 100,000. There are 700 brisk walking clubs island-wide, with more than half made up of senior citizens. Mr. Gan said this is an encouraging sign given Singapore's aging population. Now, research has shown that brisk walking regularly can help to decrease the risk of suffering from chronic conditions such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure and breast cancer by almost 50%. It can also help to prevent dementia and osteoporosis and help manage one's weight in tandem with a healthy diet. There are now plans to reach out to more people.
We are still trying to reach out to more minority groups, especially our Indian friends. We are trying because we still have not attracted a lot of our Indian friends and our Malay friends to join us in the brisk walking clubs.
Separately, Mr. Gan also touched on calls to enhance Elder Shield, a severe disability insurance scheme. Some observers have said that current payouts are insufficient given high medical bills. But Mr. Gan reiterated that there will be trade-offs with any enhancements.
We also have to bear in mind that with enhancement, the cost of the insurance will go up. We have to calibrate very carefully to ensure that Elder Shield remains affordable. At the same time, the benefits remain effective to help our seniors.
A review of the Elder Shield scheme is expected next year.
Still to come on 5, a horrific accident on the way to Tokyo Disneyland leaves a bus sliced in half and several people dead. And here at home, find out who's taken top honors at the glitzy Star Awards.
I like that.
Welcome back. Japan's Golden Week spring vacation has got off to a tragic start for one group of holidaymakers. At least 7 were killed and 39 injured when their bus smashed into a roadside wall on the way to Tokyo Disneyland. The steel panels sliced the vehicle in half. The victims' bodies were so mangled, police found it hard to identify them. They're investigating the crash and have questioned the bus driver, who was also hurt. The accident happened before dawn on a highway northwest of Tokyo. You're looking at one of Hong Kong's most popular annual events, the Cheong Chow Bun Festival. Contestants raise up a tower made of thousands of buns and try to grab as many as they can. But this year, things ended on a bad note when a man who was cleaning up afterwards took a 10-meter tumble. Unlike the contestants, he didn't have a safety harness. He was conscious but was unable to move and was airlifted to hospital. It's the first wedding anniversary for Britain's Prince William and his wife Kate. A spokesman says they're marking it in private after spending time with friends. The couple's first year of marriage has been widely considered a great success. They're credited with reviving interest in the royal family, and Kate has emerged as a style icon and one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. All eyes are now on when there'll be a royal heir. Wills and Kate will visit Singapore in September as part of a tour for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. The US president has entertained Washington media and Hollywood stars at an annual gala dinner. He took the stage to poke fun at friends and foes alike.
President Barack Obama was in fine form at the celebrity-studded black tie event. Even Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who was pictured enjoying a late-night drink at an Americas summit several weeks ago, was in for a presidential ribbing.
Despite many obstacles, much has changed during my time in office. 4 years ago, I was locked in a brutal primary battle with Hillary Clinton. 4 years later, she won't stop drunk texting me from Cartagena.
This being an election year, Mr. Obama also grabbed the opportunity to poke fun at his Republican challenger.
Take Mitt Romney. He and I actually have a lot in common. We both think of our wives as our better halves, and polls show to a alarmingly insulting extent the American people agree. I guess Governor Romney is feeling pretty good about things because he took a few hours off the other day to see The Hunger Games. Some of you have seen it. It's a movie about people who court wealthy sponsors and then brutally savage each other until only one contestant is left standing. I'm sure this was a really great change of pace for him.
There was a nod to recent headlines, including the sex scandal involving Secret Service agents.
In fact, I had a lot more material prepared, but I have to get the Secret Service home in time for their new curfew.
The president even took a self-deprecating stab at himself.
4 years ago, I looked like this. Today I look like this. And 4 years from now, I will look like this.
The White House Correspondents Association was formed in 1914 as a liaison between the press and the president. This year's dinner was also attended by Hollywood A-listers like George Clooney.
And speaking of stars, MediaCorp has honored the best in local TV at the annual Star Awards. The event is underway right now at Marina Bay Sands, and Tae Ping Hui bagged Best Actor for the first time for his performance in the drama Bountiful Blessings. Joanne Pei pipped veterans including Zoe Tay and Fan Wong to Best Actress for A Tale of Two Cities. And the Best News Presenter category saw two winners, Zhang Haijie and Dong Su-hua. Sports news is just ahead. The Chicago Bulls are off to a winning start in the NBA playoffs, but I'll tell you why there's a major downside. Back in 2 minutes with the story plus details of this EPL match underway right now. We start your sports update with football in the English Premier League. Chelsea have dumped an avalanche of goals on relegation-threatened Queen's Park Rangers in tonight's London's derby. Daniel Sturridge opened the floodgates within 46 seconds of kickoff. Under fire, captain John Terry then made it 2-0 with a header from a corner. And Fernando Torres scored a brace to make it 4-0 at the half. That's the way it remains with about half an hour to go. Chelsea and Tottenham, who play later, are looking to pile the pressure on fourth place Newcastle in the race for Champions League qualification. In Spain, Real Madrid stand on the brink of their first La Liga title since 2008. They put on a masterclass in counter-attacking at the Bernabeu to beat Sevilla 3-0 this evening. It means they will take the place if second-place Barcelona lose to Rayo Vallecano in a few hours. Cristiano Ronaldo gave Real the lead in the first half with his 43rd league goal this season. That's already a record with 3 matches still to play. Karim Benzema scored a quick fire brace early in the second half to seal the victory. Next, basketball in the first round of the NBA playoffs, where the top-seeded Chicago Bulls championship hopes have already taken a blow. They're one-up in the best-of-7 series against the Philadelphia 76ers, but at a price. Star point guard Derrick Rose is out for the rest of the season after hurting his knee. The reigning most valuable player has struggled for fitness, missing 27 regular season games through injury. After a quiet first quarter that the Bulls led, he caught fire in the second, dominating on the inside.
Derrick Rose beginning to heat up right now. To the shoot.
And on the outside, this three-pointer giving Chicago a 20-point lead in the fourth as he top-scored with 23 points. But moments later, he crumpled to the court after an awkward landing. Medics say he tore his anterior cruciate ligament. Elsewhere, the Miami Heat scorched the New York Knicks in their first game. In the Western Conference, Oklahoma edged defending champions the Dallas Mavericks by a point with less than 2 seconds on the clock. Singapore has emerged as the overall champion at the 7th Southeast Asian Youth Athletics Championships. The 2-day event at Bishan Stadium saw 9 countries competing. For the first time, there were 3 new categories: Overall Team Championship and Best Male and Female Athletes. Singapore fielded the most athletes, 81 out of 280. And with points awarded for participation, the host collected 305 to Thailand's 228 to claim the team championship. But Thailand topped the medal tally with 11 gold. Singapore won just 1 gold courtesy of Jana Wong in the 100 meters hurdles. We take you now to an indoor field of vibrant flowers, a piece of installation art inspired by Singapore's botanic gardens. And its scenery is constantly changing thanks to visitors making their mark.
Each flower, each leaf comprising a myriad of fine glass pigments painstakingly applied to sheets of felt. Zoom out and you get this, a carpet of florals and colour. There's also a reflective piece on the wall. Moment and Eternity is the latest work of art by Japanese artist Shinji Omaki.
Eternity is infinity. I think infinity, because infinity is maybe a big circle. But this is like one moment. People come in and one moment, one time, but moment is gone every time. Infinity is every time, moment gone.
And the reason is that Omaki might have spent what seemed like an eternity, 10 days, creating this, not to mention months preparing the design. But the whole idea is that viewers interact with it, walk through it, trample on it even, and ultimately change it.
I think people will be very wowed visually because it's just really beautiful and it covers the whole space. But then they'll also have another surprise element because they will have to actually participate in this show. So they're the ones really making this work together with the artists as time goes on.
People coming and maybe very colorfully and very happy, but so many flowers gone, but not gone.
They're just evolving. Omaki usually uses kimono-inspired florals, but for this piece in the Hermes Gallery at Orchard Road, he's used flowers from different countries in a nod to Singapore's melting pot of cultures. The colours are even inspired by the island. Those who walk through the art are making their mark on different cultures and changing them to some extent. Omaki says this represents real life, and he invites everyone to come along and help shape this piece of culture in their own unique way. The show is on until June.
Finally, China has set up the first protection and research center for red pandas. The site in Chengdu is starting with 20 of the endangered animals. Officials hope to increase that to 100 within 5 years. Only 20,000 red pandas are believed to survive in the wild. They're native to southwest China and the eastern Himalayas. And here's something else you don't see every day. Workers at this panda sanctuary play dress-up for a serious course to blend into wilderness training for baby panda Tao Tao. He's the world's first panda born to a captive-bred mother in a semi-wild environment. And he's being raised with as little human interference as possible. This program was created after it was found that pandas bred in captivity were unable to survive on their own when they were released. And that's News 5 tonight. Good night.